Welcome to the city of Newark, the largest city in the state of New Jersey. What you may not know is that Newark is one of the top 10 poorest cities in the United States. Let's start by clicking on the blue pointer. Here contains New Jersey's poverty rate, unemployment rate, foreclosure rate, homelessness rate, and food insecurity rate. With Newark having a population of 277,140, with 79,243 people living in poverty, means that 1 in 3.5 people are living under the federal poverty guideline. Let's find out more about this neighborhood.
For falling wages, let's start at Walgreens pharmacies. Due to how the economic system works in our country, wages are based on human capital. One can assume that a pharmacist at Walgreens will earn more than an average worker or janitor that works in the same place. Walgreens pharmacists employees usually start with $9 per hour, while an average Walgreens worker at Walgreens will obtain a salary closer to minimum wage of $7.25. This relates to common good and community. This theme deals with how we organize our society in economics and politics, and how human dignity can only be realized and protected in the context of relationships with a wider society. This Walgreens store, along with many places all over the country, bases their employees' salaries on education and skill level rather than their social abilities with other people. New Jersey has a high cost of living, but is strict on minimum wage, despite its low wages for employees of $7.25. Research shows that in 1998, minimum wage was at $7.89 per hour, while in 2011, minimum wage decreased to $7.25 per hour in Newark, New Jersey. According to the Child-Based Budgeting Project, it was stated that a minimum wage worker cannot earn enough to bring their family, even a family of two, out of poverty. It is also stated that the minimum wage is also nowhere near a livable wage for a New Jersey family. Two adults working full-time, year-round at the minimum wage earn $21,432, only 57% of a livable wage for a family of four, which is $37,932.
Because the wages that employees are receiving are so low, parents need to work more in order to be able to support their family. Because of this, parents are forced to bring their children to daycare centers so that someone could take care of their children while they are at work. Working to achieve more money when a person has young children actually increases the cost of living and takes away from savings that parents obtain from their salary. An example of a daycare center in our neighborhood is St. Anne's Community Daycare Center. As you can see, this correlates to the option for the poor of how the society treats its most vulnerable members. Children are the future of our society. They determine what our future will be. It states that the deprivation and powerlessness of the poor wounds the whole community and works on providing a better alternative for the poor in Newark by having this non-profit daycare center that is exempt from taxes. It was shown in reviews that this center is worth it because it succeeds in providing the daily necessities that children have, while still having prices that remain affordable for the citizens. This community surely does present a community that gives special attention to those with special needs who are poor in the society.
Please take a moment to look at our map and look for Divine Health Medical and University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey. Comparing to our own neighborhoods in the Bay Area to Newark, we started to see a shortage of county hospitals, which may lead to many of those who need medical attention not getting it. Less medical care leads to sickness, and sickness leads to sick-ridden communities. We did find two places that are closest to county hospitals, which is Divine Health Medical and the University of Medicine and Dental. They are much needed assets to the community, and they do their best to provide medical help for those who need it. However, seeing how big a community this is, uh, it's pretty hard to get medical help. Uh, there's not there's not much of a choice to go to other places, seeing there's only maybe like Walgreens pharmacies and lung drugs and stuff like that. But other than that, you pretty much have to go to either Divine Health Medical or the University of Medicine Dentistry of New Jersey. Please take this time to look for Young and Restless Outreach on our map. So let's start with affordable housing projects. As you can see on this graph right here, it's a little graph that shows high price loans within a specific area. And here's Newark. And as you can see, it's a little dark red color, which means high price loans within houses are within over 20% of the people there, or the interest, I mean. And realize it goes hand in hand with over 80% of people in color. And this is a prime example of predatory lending, and how it shows how banks you take advantage of these people, in poverty, and use them to collect more money, more greed. And if you scroll down, you'll see foreclosure actions to housing units within Newark, and you can see that most of the area is dark red. But as you go to the right, you see this little salmon colored area, which is actually low in foreclosure. That's because since 2002, there has been multiple programs trying to reform Newark by helping families find affordable homes, and also the sick and elderly being settled into solid and comfortable senior residentials. On the map, you can't really specifically show where this program is on the map, but there is a website, newarkha.org. And as stated on the website, it is the largest public housing authority in New Jersey and the 11th largest in the nation. They strive on helping Newark neighborhoods become healthy and comfortable environments. Their main ways they help people find houses is through public housing and Section 8 programs. The only drawback to this program is that there's a high wait list for houses. It may take a family weeks, months, or even a couple years to find a suitable house. Still, their organization is greatly needed in Newark, and their combined effort in saving lives of many people living in poverty. So let's take a look of this website real quick. It's loading a little bit slow. But as you can see, it says Newark Housing Authority in Newark, New Jersey. There's actually scholarship applications for high school students. There are business opportunities for people who need employment. Housing opportunities, as I said before, the two main ways are public housing and Section 8 programs. And as you can see, there's a family residence, and they completed over 850 units of affordable housing. Redevelopment, that means they're doing reconstruction. And last but not least, senior and disabled, it states that they're making substantial improvements to existing senior residents. And there you go.
As you can see, this neighborhood is densely populated with shootings and assaults. Catholic teaching promotes peace as a positive, action-oriented concept under promotion of peace and disarmament. Our neighborhood fails to fully present this concept. As you can see in our map, there is a high rate of crime in our area. For example, on July 11, 2011, a 15-year-old teenager was killed in a shooting, while 12 other people were injured. According to local reports, these different shootings occurred across Newark, New Jersey. This point on our map shows the University Hospital, where people were brought after the shooting. Police said that the shootings were targeted at people in the driveways.
Programs such as Project Solution strengthen the safety of the neighborhood. This is because the more there are shelters, the less there are people on the streets. When people are on the streets, they are forced to try to take action to better their lives, but are not done in the best ways. This causes people to become desperate and sometimes create crime they did not initially want to occur. As stated within the rights and responsibilities of a human person, every person has a fundamental right to life and a right to those things required for human decency. This includes food, shelter and clothing, employment, healthcare, and education. Project Solution meets all of these requirements, as you can see under the information on this point. Services include a food pantry, a soup kitchen, counseling, job referrals, and group motivational meetings.
If you scroll down and click on Dunkin' Donuts, notice that it is also close to Baskin-Robbins and to Newark Vocational High School. With fast food places close to many schools in this area, kids are able to walk to these places easily. This is easy access to fast food restaurants, rather than healthier produce, which leads to obesity. Through Newark, New Jersey, the places contain multiple supermarkets, which are not what most people expect as an ideal supermarket. Most of these places that they call supermarkets actually are just equivalent as what most middle class would see and call liquor stores.
Notice that there are many bus stops in this neighborhood. Since 2010, the New Jersey Transit has raised their fares to 25%. 25% increase the bus, light, and commuter rail fares system-wide. Feel free to pause to check out the transportation fares. Discount bus fare for children, senior citizens, and handicapped riders has risen, and also there is a longer wait for transportation. With bus stops on every corner and the rising cost of transportation, less people can afford transportation if the government isn't giving them as much aid. This affects how and where people work and where kids go to school and their education.
The lower part of New Jersey, which is highlighted in red, would be considered to be a food desert. Those in this area have to travel further to get to a supermarket. Notice that this area contains many fast food restaurants, causing obesity in this area to be high. These lower costing food benefits the less fortunate because they can afford it more and they could afford higher class food. But these benefits also come with a catch. The cheaper the food, the lower the quality. The food from these places are usually not very healthy. Food is usually more fattening and contains more preservatives. Compared to higher priced organic food that is very green and healthy, the food that can be found in these areas are likely to have higher sodium and have a higher intake on fat when consumed. Also, with transportation increasing, people have a harder time with getting to grocery and supermarkets. Newark, New Jersey, being one of the largest cities in the United States, is home to many Americans. Rich, poor, or middle class, this city has all of the above. If you choose to pay a visit to the city, you will find a wide variety of places other than what we have shown you. You will find magnificent sights and views, but behind all this is a population of people facing difficulties and hardships. Christianity and social progress says that modern society is becoming more complex and interdependent. The gap between rich and poor nations threatens society. Although governments should respect individual freedom, when necessary, they must act on these problems to protect common good. You see all of these shootings and crime in our neighborhood. By providing more shelters and government aid, the government is able to ensure a safer neighborhood than it already has. Having a sense of hope and a better day for those living in poverty provides a better mindset than if they were forced to stay out in the streets and try to survive and make a living. This ties in with economic justice for all. We see the good and the bad aspects of the U.S. economic system. Yes, there are shelters and projects provided by the government to help those in need in our area, but if our economy was in good shape, would we even have to have these shelters?